Okay, guys, welcome back to episode 2 of Phoenix Tech TV. The last time I left you guys, we were in the process of replacing the HDD with the SSD hard drive, and we were also going to replace the 4 GB RAM with a 16 GB kit from the Crucial company. And if you remember, I didn't have 2 slots. Also, the pin count on the RAM was wrong. So be sure when you're doing a project like this that you have the correct pin count. In this particular case, mine was 204 pins and it only had 1 slot. So I had to go ahead and order, as you can see from them, a 16 GB RAM card. So today is a bit of an unboxing, but at the same time, it's also the completion of the initial project of upgrading this HP Notebook 15T. I think the correct model number is the AS-136DS. So if that's your model number, then this is the exact one for you. As you can see, Crucial company, 16 GB, 1 card, 204 pin count, if I'm not mistaken. Let's go ahead and make sure you guys can see that. Okay, and what I did was I waited to put these screws back together in the laptop so I wouldn't have to do it several times in the process. As I'm doing this, I'm going to also explain a few things to you about the SSD portion of this project, which nobody explained to me. I had to kind of figure it out and learn it on my own. So I'm gonna guide you guys through it as well. And I'm also gonna put the links to the description of what to do in the description box of this particular video. So we're back here. We've just taken out the battery. And we're going to turn this back over and make sure there's no electrical charge left in the device because we don't want to play ourselves. So I'm just going to hold this down for 15 seconds. And that should do it. We are going to remove the back as we did in the previous video with our pry tool. Remember that? So we're gonna go ahead and kind of get this edge up. I've done this several times and I'll explain to you why in a moment. So while putting in the SSD, every other video will tell you to create a recovery drive and all of that good stuff. What they don't tell you is that you're going to need a separate flash drive, at least 8 GB for the operating system. Otherwise, you guys are going to go through what I went through, which was the opening and closing of this laptop to find out why the recovery drive wasn't working. And I'm telling you right now, it was a real problem because it took me almost an entire day to make that particular operating system flash drive, and I'll explain to you why in a second. Let me just go ahead and focus on getting this thing out properly and we can get into it. There we go. Yeah. I'm telling you guys, it's if you're into this kind of thing, it's a lot of fun, but at the same time, it's a problem if you are not into it and you are just doing this because you are in desperate need of your laptop. And again, I neglected to take this out, so it was a bit of a struggle. That is our CD-ROM drive. So we're gonna just close this up as we should have. This is what we have here. We got the 1 TB back in place, and I'm saying it that way because I had to take the SSD back out, reinstall the HDD hard drive, which I have here, and I had to do a Windows 10 update before I could even make the flash drive. And I was fortunate enough to have a 16 GB flash drive just sitting around. Is this the one? No, this is the 32. But here, it looks identical, so sorry about that, guys. But yeah, I had a 16 gigabyte flash drive just sitting around the house, or sitting in this particular case for years, that I had to reformat after doing the Windows 10 update. The Windows 10 update took about, I want to say about 6 to 7 hours to complete. And then it took another 2 to 3 hours to make that operating system hard drive. And that was after searching Microsoft's community for the instructions on what I needed to do, because I kept getting an error message every time I tried to install the recovery information, which I'll get to that in a second. So here we are, guys. We're back at this here. That's our 1 terabyte that we 1 terabyte SSD drive that we installed in the first video. And this here, this is what we failed on the first time, but we're back at it. And hopefully today we can put that new 16 gigabyte drive in there. We already know that this particular model came with a 4 gigabyte RAM. So that's what this is originally. And we're just gonna pop those out, pop that up. That's your old one right there. The manufacturer on this one was Samsung, if I'm not mistaken. There you go. And you just have to, like I said before, if you're gonna do a project like this, you have to kind of get all your ducks in a row. A very intelligent person suggested to me that next time I decided to do something like this was to make a list, because I've been aggravating, sorry about that, guys, I know this is crazy, but I've been aggravating the hell out of Amazon, because I keep ordering things and then canceling it, because I realize that as I'm ordering it and as I'm gaining more information about this particular project, that I didn't have, like I just told you guys, my ducks in a row. So basically, I ordered a SATA USB when it dawned on me that I could just put the HDD drive back into this device. I also sent back the heatsink gel, because I had no intention of digging this thing up after this entire debacle, especially with the issues that I had putting the SSD drive in there. But here we are, we're back, and we're just gonna see what we got going on here with the SSD drive. Well, not the SSD drive, excuse me, the RAM. So this is a 16 gigabyte chip. It looks like it fits perfectly. You put that in at a 45-degree angle and you pop that down. That simple, okay? It's not rocket science, guys. And anybody that tries to tell you that it is, it isn't. The one thing, again, I want to stress this. RAM, easy to replace as long as you know the pin count. It's either going to be 260 or 204 at this particular point. The SSD is the more, I want to say, involved portion of a project like this, because of the necessary steps that it takes to get that right. Like I said, it's just patience, guys. You just have to be very, very aware of the specs on your device, okay? And you have to be very patient as well, because you could end up breaking something, or you could end up wasting a lot of time in a situation like this. So we got our 16 gigabyte chip in, and it looks distinctively different. As a matter of fact, on the 4 gigabyte, I had about micro SD sized black chips on that one. This one had four on, well, I want to say 8 on one side and 8 on the other side. So it makes sense. Basically, again, time, patience, and a lot of research went into this particular project for me. So I just want to make sure that you guys don't kind of struggle with the same issues that I had. I'm just popping everything back in place just to make sure that everything is where it needs to be. And I want to tell you guys something too. Once you actually get the SSD working, I actually got this particular laptop, which took about 4 to 5 minutes to boot up with the old HDD, with the old hard drive. I got it from about 4 to 5 minutes to about 30 to 45 seconds. That's how much faster that SSD is for this particular model. So it's not a waste of time, especially if you're going to use the laptop for simple things like surfing the internet or whatever the case might be. Also, I decided not to reinstall the recovery drive because I realized after getting Windows back up and running that a lot of the information that I had on the recovery drive I didn't need, especially the stuff that I was using, like my resume and some music that I had there and that whole thing. All of those physical pieces of information are now on the internet. That's how old this laptop is, guys. I was literally saving music and movies and that kind of thing to this laptop by way of that particular recovery drive. And it was crazy to understand that time and technology had passed and progressed so much that I didn't need to bombard my laptop with all of that physical information. I already have Office 365 for my resume and all of my documents. I already have Adobe for my PDFs and all that stuff. And I already have Tidal and all kinds of other music programs and Google Photos and blah, blah, blah. All that stuff that preserves your information and those mental keepsakes, if you will. All right, so basically, we're just gonna slide our hard drive back in, which I forgot to take out the first time. The hard drive has been bugging out lately, so y'all gotta excuse me. So it's just a matter of me kind of coaxing it back in. So if you guys will give me a moment with that, we can kind of get her back in there. And we can move forward with this project because I'm pretty sure this hard drive is pretty tired of being slipped in and out of this laptop. There we go. We got her in, and we'll just take some time out really quickly to grab our screwdriver because we are no longer going to need to open the back up. This laptop already boots up by way of that new SSD. We just put the RAM in it to speed up the processes. There's a lot of information out there. If you guys are like really a bunch of amateurs or a novice like myself, I'm putting myself in that category, guys. If you guys are novice like myself, you're going to be doing a lot of Google searching about what DDR3 and DDR4 means and the differences in 16 gigabytes and RAM and SSD drives and HDD drives. So it's going to be a lot of information, but trust me when I tell you that the information is definitely out there. It's definitely worthwhile, especially if you're into this kind of thing. And I've been kind of into this thing my entire life. You know what I mean? I've been digging out stereo equipment out of trash cans since I was a kid. So it's been my thing. You know what I mean? And if it's your thing, then pursue it. You know what I mean? Do what you want to do with it. We're going to go back here and we're going to remember these guys. These are our pads for the device once we actually close the whole thing up. And all of these screws, remember those? All the same size. So we are going to take our time and make sure that we get this right on the first go around in terms of closing it up, because we definitely didn't get it right on the first go around with the information that we had and had not acquired, and we didn't get it right with the RAM and all of that stuff. So basically just take your time. Like I said, in the description box of this particular video will be the links that you need. And one of those links is super important, especially if you're doing the SSD upgrade. You're going to need a flash drive, 8 gigabytes or better for the operating system. And I'm telling you that because the recovery drive will not boot up without it. So you have to make sure that you got that in the pocket after you well, not even after, but before you even take the HDD drive out. Make sure you do your Windows upgrade and get a copy of that operating system. This way you're not stuck on stupid like I was. All right, so here we go. Just getting those screws back in. Once we do that, we can put the battery back on, and I'm going to show you the difference in speed in terms of the boot up. I wish on the first video I would have showed you guys what was going on in terms of how long it actually took to boot this particular computer up, because it was annoying. It got to the point where you'd have to turn it back off and then turn it back on just to even feel like something was going on with the device itself. And after a little while, you realize that that's a mental thing. That's not even really physical with the computer itself. The actual physical part of that was was, like I was saying, mental. So, so you just gotta hold it down, turn it on, and let it do its thing. Otherwise, you're just gonna waste a lot of time. I'll find that other foot in a second. I know I just had it, I just misplaced it, but we'll get to it in a moment. Let's just go ahead and move forward with the screw process. All right. It'd be really weird if it was stuck to my arm. Check it out. I knew I had it. It was literally just stuck to my arm. So I'm gonna put that back in place because those screws are already in place. Voila, like new. We're gonna go ahead and get these screws back in so we can boot this up and show you guys the difference. And the RAM, as I understand, should be automatic in terms of registering to the device itself. But the RAM is definitely in there. All right. I know you guys want progress and you want information age. You want speed and you want it fast. So without having to jump from video to video to video like I did, because I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I must have watched about 20 to 30 videos in reference to this particular project. It was a great learning experience, but if you can get it all in one place, why not, right? Again, the tools are very simple. I bought them from Amazon, as I stated in the first video. I bought an entire kit with a bunch of pry tools and so on and accessories. This way, I don't have to look for another set containing other pieces. Also available on Amazon. As a matter of fact, everything came from those people. All right. It is COVID, so you know their delivery situation is very different from what it would be if there was no COVID situation. But just try to be patient with it, especially when you're waiting for pieces and components and parts like I was. I waited for everything that you see here on this table, from the tool sets to the SSD to the RAMs, and it was just it like I told you guys in the very beginning, it's been an adventure so far, but it looks like we're nearing the end of this one. And I'll come back and I'll talk to you guys about other things that I'm looking at, other things that I'm interested in terms of laptops, gadgets, toys. I'm really looking forward to this new Xbox coming out. I'm both an Xbox and a PS5 user and player, so it's going to be an exciting time this year, especially with those two new consoles coming out, and we'll see what happens. So we got the battery back in, we got the laptop closed up. I'm giving it some power right now, and we are going to turn it on, and we're just going to count Mississippi's. All right, power. Come on, guys. Okay, I can hear it. 1 Mississippi, 2, 3. "22 seconds, guys. 22 seconds to get to the login screen. All right. Way better performance than when we first started this about 2 to 2.5 weeks ago. And we'll go to the operating system page or my computer page to check out the difference in specs. Also, guys, once you guys actually get your operating system up and running, I would suggest that you go here into your search bar right next to the Windows icon and type in, I want to say device manager. I'm pretty sure I'm right. but it's Device Manager, and go in and update all of your drivers. That's going to be really, really important as well, because I don't know if I said it in the first video, but the original HDD and driver was strictly for the BG portion of the NIC card of this device. And this is a Realtek 8188 Echo NIC card. So what that pretty much means is that it was only using 2 out of 3 of the capabilities in terms of bandwidth for this laptop. It was only operating off of BNG. Updating the driver after updating the operating system and the actual SSD allowed this particular laptop to go ahead and use the N driver or access the N driver. So like I said, we're back up and running. Let me go to my computer. It's way faster, guys, way faster. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see it. I'm just gonna grab the camera really quickly, and you should be able to see that it's accepted the new SSD, and it's giving me 952 gigabytes with 887 gigabytes of free space. Okay, so just to let you know that the SSD portion was a success. Okay, we're just gonna reposition this thing so you guys can kind of get back to seeing what we were doing. As a matter of fact, let's get this on the table now that you guys don't need to actually see the internals. Okay. And what do we got here? I'm going to go into control panel. And I just like to move around and just check out the situation, but it looks like the performance is way better. We're going to access the internet right now. It used to take forever for Chrome to come up on this thing. Look, as you can see, we're not doing too bad. Okay, my next project is going to be to upgrade the NIC card, which is going to involve me buying a brand new AC NIC card and an antenna. The NIC card is here at the base, and the antenna runs from the base up the side of the actual monitor, and you'd have to mount with sticky tape. There should be sticky tape already on the antenna, but you have to mount the antenna somewhere over here next to the camera and run that line all the way through the back. So that'll involve me dismantling this laptop again, but it should give me better performance in terms of the actual internet speed. But as you can see, this thing came up pretty quick. This is Phoenix Tech TV. I thank you guys for tuning in, and if you guys want to leave me a comment or subscribe or push the likes or whatever you got to do, and I'll do my best to keep creating content for you guys. Talk to you later. Bye.